Welcome to the Sacred Nurse podcast, broadcasting from WinCam in Winchester, Mass. I'm Michelle Moscone, a retired registered nurse with a lifelong devotion to caring for others. Yet it wasn't until I embarked on my own healing journey that I truly discovered the sacred path of whole person care. The first half of my career unfolded in the medical ICU of a major Boston hospital where I stood daily at the crossroads of life, death, and crisis. But over time, the cost of that disconnection became deeply personal. After years of unprocessed trauma and environmental exposure, my body began to shut down. At the time, it felt like a collapse, but in hindsight, it was a sacred threshold, a doorway into transformation. The traditional nursing role no longer served me, but something deeper within me stirred awake. I began exploring a different model of healing, one rooted in energy, emotion, presence, and spiritual awareness, emerging with a renewed understanding of what it truly means to heal. My journey echoed the myth of Pluto and Persephone. Like Persephone, I descended into darkness and returned with wisdom. I reclaimed my voice, my path, and my soul. This podcast is a safe space for those stories. Each episode is a conversation with someone who has walked through their own underworld and emerged transformed. Like Persephone, you are not just a survivor, you are your own queen. Welcome to Pluto Pathology, where healing begins in the depths. For more information, go to my website, sacrednurse.com. Hi, and welcome to the Sacred Nurse podcast. I'm Michelle Moscone, your host, and this is episode 2. And I have with me today my friend, Valerie Gaines, who graciously agreed to be here and tell her story.
Thank you.
And just a little background on us. We met a couple of years ago on studying shamanism. We joined the Shamanic Path of Healing. Ray Christ is the founder of the Jaguar Path. He and his wife, Nina Christ, host various workshops. They teach yoga, they teach Tai Chi. They have a 9-month shamanic program. And that's where Valerie and I met. We also were fortunate enough to meet. We got to go to Greece and visit with Ray and Nina last year, about this time.
Yes.
Visiting ancient sites and ruins and holy temples. So during our studies together, a thing that's very prominent, with healing, is where you're wounded, and the shamanic path calls it, it's your samskara, it's your wound. And it's how you take care of that, going from wounds to wisdom, like what got you through. So Valerie's going to share her story today, and at the end we have a self-care segment. I'll be sharing something for self-care, and then Valerie will share her little segment of self-care. It's something that you can all take with you. Okay, so Valerie, would you like to start sharing your story?
Oh, thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here, Michelle. And I was just thinking as you were speaking about that too, that there's Leonard Cohen talks about when there's a crack in something, that's how the light gets in. And I was thinking about all the light that has come into my life because of things that have happened and the way my life has changed. When I watched your podcast where you and Mark spoke about your experience with as psych nurses and going from woundedness to wholeness, it prompted something in my a memory in my life, and I thought maybe I could share that because it was the beginning of a sea change for me. My life was completely transformed. When I was a young mother and a wife and mother, I was in my 30s, and I was working in business. And I was in a very stressful work situation where my supervisor was kind of leaning on me heavily, and he was being forced out of the company. I was taking on a lot, and it started affecting me, and I started having problems with depression. and I didn't know what was happening. I went to a primary care physician who referred me for counseling, and at that time people didn't do things like that. I didn't know what this was all about, but I did go, and I had a good therapist. I was seeing him, but unfortunately I was feeling worse, and then eventually he referred me to a psychiatrist who put me on some medication, and then and that still wasn't working, and so I ended up in a facility for in an urgent care program at the Kearney Hospital. So that was, and I was the one who asked to go because I could see what was happening to me and that I wasn't getting better. So that was a tough time. It's tough on a family to have to be disrupted in that way, and also while I was there, what came to light that I was getting care from the psychiatrist who would see me, not the psychologist who I had seen, and he just kept upping my medications, and I was getting worse. Eventually he went to my husband and wanted to take me out of that facility and go into somewhere else and do electroconvulsive therapy on me. And
back then.
And so my husband at the time said, absolutely not. And then at the facility, they could see that I wasn't getting the proper care from this psychiatrist, and that they took me off all medications. And that's what things began to change. And I also sought, so I was in the facility for 5 weeks, and I sought a psychiatrist on my own. My sister helped me. That made a huge difference. He just completely transformed my life. But one of the things that made a huge difference on my life was that the staff at the Kearney Hospital, they were young, they were enthusiastic. They could see that I was not getting the proper care, and they were worried about me. And then when they were able to step in and help me, one of them especially, I remember she said to me, I am so excited for you because she had been through psychoanalysis, and she said, your whole life will transform now. And she said, you're beginning a journey that will change your life, and I'm so excited for you. And I was so depressed at the time, but I held on to that light. Mm-hmm. I had her enthusiasm and her joy in her eyes. So anyway, I know I've gone on a bit. No. I was discharged from there. I began my therapy with the psychiatrist, and began my own journey of self-discovery. I had some repair work to do at home because my children had missed me while I was hospitalized, and needed to get things back in shape. My daughter was 14, my son was 10, so those are active years.
Did they know you were in the hospital? Did
so
they know you were
there.
Having these issues?
Yeah,
like they knew?
Yeah, they could see what was happening, and my daughter especially, it was a lot on her that I was in the hospital. And then from there I went on, and I went back to school. I started out, I was volunteering at the Center for Women at Massasoit Community College, and from there I started taking classes, and then I matriculated into the associate's degree program. And when my daughter was graduating from high school, I graduated from community college with my business degree, and then it was time for me to return to the workplace. And I started now I had been at an administrative level. Now I was taking a professional level position in human resources. I worked for a computer software company for 2 years, and at the end of that time, they did away with their continuing education program, and then I saw an ad for Wellesley College was looking for someone to do the work I had been doing in compensation and benefits. I went to Wellesley College, and I interviewed there. By then, my daughter was going to a women's college. She was going to Mount Holyoke. So I went to Wellesley College for this interview, already knowing about women's colleges, excited to have my own education continue. And after I was there for a year, I applied for admission, and then I got my eventually my bachelor's degree, a liberal arts degree in religion. And so,
you have quite the story, quite the journey. And that story is incredible, and it sounds like the nurses were wonderful, because as a nurse myself, like, a nurse can make all the difference. Not to brag, but it's true,
Yes.
And you had the support of your husband.
Yes.
And, even though your children were worried, he was a very strong role model,
Yes.
helping you. And then, so when you realized that that you needed help, which I applaud you, because you took it upon yourself. A lot of people deny it, or they try to mask their symptoms,
Yes.
with other things, but you knew enough that you needed help.
Yes.
And so what was the first, holistic thing you did for yourself? Like, the nurse was great, and she told you you're on a new trajectory now, you're only going to get better, good things are coming for you. So what was the first thing that, if you can remember, that was alternative, that wasn't like a traditional medicine, or that was something like holistic?
That came about later.
Okay.
That
so
came
you did
about
like
later.
Your academic first?
So I was focused on my business career.
Mm-hmm.
I was focused on my academics. I went through a number of changes in my life. I was also very active at my church, and I still am. And so I. It was as I completed my career, and I mean, I always walked, I always ate fairly healthy and that type of thing, but I didn't understand how to take care of your spirit so much. And so but I had always felt, when I was at Wellesley College, I felt so blessed to have gotten this first-class education for just paying the administrative fees for it, and to study religions and other cultures and all that kind of thing. And that really kind of prepared me with an open-mindedness about the complexities of life and cultures and so forth. Especially it was a class on contemplation and action, which was a lot about Asian spirituality and that type of thing. So I think the education was preparing me in that way. Mm-hmm. And then when it was time for me to retire from my career, and I always felt that I wanted to give back in some way.
Yes, yes.
And when I was getting ready to retire from my HR career, and I had been in business as well as in academia, then I did some part-time work administratively, and I found my way to Reiki with a group from church. I was already a lay Eucharistic minister at church and doing the healing ministry, and a group of us went and we were trained in Reiki. And that's what really opened up my life and changed things mm-hmm. dramatically for mm-hmm. me. In 2015, I was trained as a Reiki 1 practitioner. In January, in February, I trained with Libby Barnett for my Reiki 2. And then at that, someone from Brigham and Women's Hospital was there recruiting for their Reiki volunteer program. And so then I went on from there, and I became a Reiki volunteer at Brigham and Women's Hospital. And I was there for 5 years, every week, doing Reiki for patients and for staff on staff appreciation days. Mm-hmm. Reiki taught me about taking care of my own physical body and my own spirit, and how and when your energy is flowing and healthy and well, then your body feels well, and then you can give from your wholeness.
Right,
That was
yeah.
something
Your
that you were
wellspring. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Heal yourself first, like care of the healer. We were talking about that earlier. You have to take
Yes.
care of yourself first, and it's not selfish, because
Right.
getting well, it's all about like your self-esteem and self-respect and self-worth and self-love. So it's okay to be selfish. Because I know as a
Yes.
child, I think a lot of us heard, "Oh, you're so selfish. You only think of you." It's like, well, it's okay.
Yes.
You know, to a
Yes.
degree, but I think
Oh,
at our
yes.
age now we have our
Well, I
boundaries,
think
and
it
we
was-
know when to.
I think it was in the podcast last week that you referred to something that's last time often is an example about when you're on the airline and you need
Yes.
the oxygen mask
Yes.
drops down. First, take your own oxygen so
Exactly.
that you can give to others.
Right.
And you need to keep your own physical well-being and your
I know.
own spirit up.
And there are people that they feel guilty about that, so
Yes.
but it can change.
Yes.
It can change. So what did you find when you started doing Reiki, like you learned it and you were taking care of yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And then what was like one of your earliest memories of the change you saw in one of your clients? Like what was it like for them to experience you now in your fullness with everything you had gone through, all the clearing that you've done, and being infused with Reiki healing, from spirit, from above. Now you're infused with
Yes.
spirit. And what was that like for you witnessing your clients?
Well, it's always moving to me. Sometimes someone will just the compassionate touch that they feel, and they can also feel the flow of energy through their body. Sometimes they can feel a pain shift from one part of the body to the other. And so you see it in their faces, and the face will take on a glow, and that they just feel completely accepted and loved, and feel whole, And I can remember experiencing that myself, and it gives me such great joy to see that feeling in others.
Yes, I agree. And the thing with the energy work too, you never know what their experience is going to be, and you don't know what your experience will be.
Right.
And I know recently you and I, we had talked about this earlier about sharing this. We got together and we exchanged work on each other.
Yes.
And what I was seeing, because I get a lot of, I call them downloads or incoming, what I was sensing was letting go. It was like a trough in the center of your body. And then after it was finished, you said you felt the same thing.
Yes.
And you had a gorgeous glow, you were just beaming. And I when I do the work, like I don't like to say my intake first. I don't like to say what I get because I don't want to influence my clients. So I let you talk first, and we had the same experience. So.
Yes, and my Reiki path has taken me to working with elderly, and I had done I teamed up with a massage specialist, and we used to go into assisted living facilities and so forth and work with the elderly, and she would do massage and I would do Reiki, and that's been a very meaningful experience, and especially for people with memory care issues, and sometimes if they're agitated, Reiki is so amazing because even from a distance you can
Yes,
you can
online.
calm.
Online.
Yes, and I now work for a hospice, a for-profit hospice agency, and paid for that, and it's the most meaningful work of my life. And I was just thinking that one of the very meaningful experiences, I was with a patient who was in serious decline and had not been cognitively aware. And his wife was there, and she was watching him and watching me with him and how he reacted to my hands on him. And so, of course, with Reiki, you just lay your hands gently and you move down the body. And as I did that, I watched the wife cry, and she just cried, and she had to leave the room because she was overcome. And when I spoke with her later, she said, "I'm sorry that I lost my composure." She said, "I looked at my Jim," and she said, "He looked as he did before, himself, open and engaged."
Oh my God!
And she said, and it made me cry. So sometimes for those moments of joy and connection.
Yes.
And you had spoken about it, Michelle, about how with Reiki, it does not drain you, because as a Reiki practitioner, you're a conduit for the energy, and the positive energy from the universe is flowing through you, and you are holding that space for the individual that you're doing the Reiki for. And
Yes, I agree. And I learned that early on in my energetic healing career, because I was taking care of, actually it was my brother who had some heavy duty surgery, and he was on a lot of meds. And when I was working on him, like, his complaint was he was feeling dizzy. So as I worked on him, I felt like I was flying around the room. So I shared that with like my support group. And this is maybe when I started like 25, 30 years ago. And they told me I wasn't grounded. So even though we are the hollow bone, we're the conduit and the energy flows through us, but unless we're grounded, we're going to absorb that energy. So you need to, it can come in, but and you let it go. Like the shamans will inhale and, breathe the trauma out, the wound out, but you have to be really grounded. So, and I know that's something we can talk about maybe at another time. Or, the ending, when I do a little drumming, that's a grounding technique.
And that's something, too, that you and I engaged in with our Jaguar Path training. They do a lot about you're grounded with your feet, with Pachamama, the earth, and through the top of your head with the sky. And I often find, I was talking about coming here today about when you're getting too absorbed in your own thoughts, and if you can let those go and then be at one with the universe, and through breathing and through other ways of engaging with the environment around us, because we can easily, going back to my story as a young woman, if you're not caring for yourself, you can be depleted.
Right.
You can be seriously depleted, and you owe it to yourself and those you love to take care of yourself first and foremost, and then give from that place of wholeness, right?
Yes. Absolutely.
Yes, yeah. I had another experience recently with hospice that was very meaningful. There was a patient who was dying, and her whole family was around her. They're a lovely, close-knit family. And I went into the room, greeted her, and greeted the family. She was unconscious. And they told me that she had actually taken Reiki. I had known her on a memory care unit, but she had known Reiki as a young woman, and so that's why she was especially responsive to it. So I did the Reiki session on her, starting with her head and finishing at her feet. And when as I was at the feet, the chaplain came in, and he was there to pray with the whole family. And he said, "Oh, I'll come back." And I said, well, I have an idea. How about if I stand at her feet while you say your prayers? And then at the end of the prayers, I will lay my hands on each member of the family. And I asked them if that would be okay with them. And then I'll leave. So that's what we did. And it was such a beautiful connecting moment. I think often we're afraid of death and what that means.
Yes.
But when you're there with each other, and when you feel the spirit of God, and you have a tool that helps you to feel that energetic presence, it's so so soothing and to me a wonderful gift.
I know, because I know I've had experience with hospice, as a nurse. And I remember that when I was studying one of the energetic, it was the first modality I studied. It's called healing touch. And there's a technique called there's a chakra spread, and then there's a sacred chakra spread. And, everyone doesn't know what a chakra is. They're, energy centers in the body, energy vortexes. And the samskara, like if they're wounded, they get shut down, blocks happen. And you need to release the blocks, like doing Tai Chi, let the rivers flow. Oh, so I was working with a patient. She was dying, she was in a coma, and I did a sacred chakra spread, and it was developed by a nurse to relieve a dying patient's fear, pain, and anxiety. But it also, you can do that for anybody in a transition. Like if you have a new job, if you're going through a divorce, you had a breakup, or just anything, any kind of a transition, it works.
Yes.
And this one woman in particular, she was in and out of it, but mostly out of it, comatose, and the family was around. And she was able to, when I was passing one of the passes, she woke up and was able to say goodbye to her family members, and then went back into her coma.
Wow.
And we all just looked at each other. It was like one of those moments, like nobody said boo, but nobody doubted, like God's presence, the energy, the spirit that was there. And it was a gift. It allowed her, it cleared her enough that she could, say goodbye to her family. And they were at peace because, you never know when it's going to be the last time.
Yes.
And it's always one more talk, one more conversation, one more.
Yes.
And they knew this was it. And it was very comforting. Like you said, it's very comforting for both us as healers and for the receivers.
Yes.
And the beauty is you don't know how it will end. You don't know the outcome.
And it's so wonderful to have tools in your own life to take care of yourself, to take care of your spirit, to be there for your loved ones. Yes.
That's what it matters the most.
Yes, and I was thinking, about nursing as well. I was not trained medically as you were, but the way I found my way to Reiki was that my minister's wife was an oncology nurse at Mass General Hospital, and she said a lot of the nurses were being trained in Reiki because it was a tool they could use with the patients when there were other things that were not comforting.
Yes. And when was this, I must ask? What year was this?
Oh, yes, that was 2015.
Okay.
So the group of us from church were the ones who went, and that's how I was trained in Reiki, in my Reiki 1 certification, and later on the Reiki 2.
That's perfect. When like you just, and you put your ideas out there, form follows thought. You were on a trajectory and you just kept riding the wave. And you caught the next one and the next one.
Yes.
Then,
when you, to your point, when you put your intention out there, and also when you're taking care of yourself, when you're breathing, and we talk in Jaguar Path again about getting out of your head and into your heart, out of the narrator, because we're constantly, talking to ourselves about what we should be doing and stuff like that. And then your body knows, your spirit knows if you can just calm it down and relax, right?
Exactly. I know, but it takes a lot. And then in the Tai Chi, it's about balancing the fire and the water, because you want, to bring the water up. You want to cool your brain, because your brain is on fire. So you want to cool your brain and let the fire stay in your belly, in the Jaguar.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Reiki is such a wonderful tool. In the years after I became Reiki 2 trained, I became a Reiki master in 2017 and a Reiki master teacher in 2018. And since then, I've taught 45 people Reiki, including my own grandchildren.
Oh, that's beautiful. I know when I was starting out, my daughters, before bed, I would do like little techniques on them. And my older daughter wanted me to, I had to massage her because she had sinus trouble. She ended up, having her tonsils and adenoids out. And I used to like put her to sleep, just like rubbing her face. And my the younger daughter would say, meditate me. And I had to rub her back, but in her little mind, so I would rub her back, and that was her, and they would go to sleep.
Oh,
so I
yes.
put them to sleep. But so now, why don't we segue? Because we had said earlier that we have, we're each going to offer a little healing technique. So
Yes.
I'm going to offer the drum. I have this. First, it's breathing techniques. So for those of you out there, mothers with children, a sphere ball, you can buy it at any toy store. And I'm gonna talk you through box breathing. First with this, and then I have a drum. So and this resets your nervous system, and it helps if you're having a panic attack. A lot of times if you can get to it before it gets to the point where you can't control it, because I remember I was at work one day, and it was like the day from hell. It was like everything was hitting the fan, and I was like, I couldn't like get it together. I had to just be in like mode of work. And one of the nurses said to me, "Take a deep breath," and I wasn't ready to hear it. I'm like, this isn't the time. I can't. So anyway, so this is what we do with the block breathing. You inhale for 4. And you can do it with me as I'm doing this.
Yes.
Inhale for 4, exhale, hold it for 4, exhale for 4, and then hold it for 4. So we're going to start with the inhale. Breathe in for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold the exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. And begin again with an inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it for 4, 3, 2, 1. And exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. And hold the exhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. And then just take your own rhythmic breath and inhale and sigh it out. And then just come back. And then another way we can do block breathing is with a drum beat. And if you don't have a drum, you can find a shamanic drum beat on like YouTube or Spotify, whatever, like social media, change. So again, so you drum, and you're going to inhale for 4, hold it for 4, exhale for 4, hold it for 4, with the beat of a drum. So I'm going to drum, and you can do this. Okay? So we're going to start. So just take a cleansing breath first, and start with an exhale. Okay, and we're going to inhale for 4. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. Hold for 4. Inhale for 4. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. And hold for 4. One more time. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. And then just relax into your breath.
Thank you. I found it irresistible to close my eyes because I could, as I relaxed, my eyes wanted to close.
I could see. That was great. So I could feel your like relaxation. I felt that from you too. I could feel it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
And you have something to share
Yes.
also? Okay.
Yes. So this is just a very simple exercise to remind us of the light that is within all of us. And it's something that we'll go through it together. And Michelle, you'll be following me. And this is something you could do with a child, you could do with a friend, or just take a moment yourself to remind you. Okay? Okay.
I'll repeat after you.
I am the light.
I am the light.
The light surrounds me.
The light surrounds me.
The light is within me.
The light is within me.
The light protects me.
The light protects me.
The light surrounds me.
The light surrounds me.
I am the light.
I am the light.
And you do it three times.
Okay.
I am the light. The light surrounds
me. The light surrounds me.
The light is within me.
The light is within me.
The light protects me.
The light protects me.
The light goes through me.
The light goes through me.
Sorry, I said it wrong last time. The light goes through me.
Goes through me.
I am the light.
I am the light.
One more time. I am the light.
I am the light.
The light surrounds me.
The light surrounds me.
The light is within me.
The light is within me.
The light protects me.
The light protects me.
The light runs through me.
The light runs through me.
I am the light.
I am the light.
Namaste,
Namaste.
Michelle.
Thank you. And that concludes episode 2 of the Sacred Nurse podcast. Thank you, Valerie Gaines, for being here. If you want more information about what I do, check my website, sacrednurse.com. I offer online healing sessions.
And could I just say, Michelle, that I had the got to experience your healing gifts, and it was a joy and a pleasure.
Oh, and thank you, Valerie. Thank you.
A wonderful healer. Thank you.
Thank you. As you.
Thank you.
For more information, go to my website, sacrednurse.com.
Everything's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be fine. It'll all turn out right. It's all gonna